welcome to our open evening here at the Mind Lab. My name is Anna Mari. I'm going to be your host and taking you around the whole building so you can see what we have for you here at the lab. So follow me. Lots of buzzing happening here tonight with lots of folks. I'm going to take you down to one of our big virtual rooms where we do our hybrid classes. So follow me down the hall. This is where we'll be doing some sessions. We'll come back to that in a moment. It's a beautiful sunny day, and here are some of the offices where our staff's always happy to help and answer any of the questions that you have while you're studying with us, or maybe if you're just thinking about studying with us. All right. One of our main feature rooms, our Kawakawa room. Come on in, we'll show you the space. So in here, we host a number of events. We also have our hybrid classes where students can attend either in person or obviously online, making it hybrid. Also a lovely space to do some study if it's not being used and we're working on a major project. So let's go ahead and I'll show you where all the action's happening tonight. So there's lots of events happening tonight with some keynote speakers. I'm really looking forward to sharing those workshops with you. And we'll just come down here to our Manuka room and we'll show you where the tech guys are sitting. Come on in. Say hi, guys. All right, so this is the fabulous team that's putting this all together tonight. And this room is our Manuka room, and it's where all the action's gonna be happening with the workshops, with some of our keynote speakers, and a panel of some students that are current and past. So I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say about myths around studying. Follow me. Say hi, guys. Some of the staff here. Kia ora, kia ora. So you'll notice the decor is very bright. We like to keep it bright in here. It kind of inspires ideas, and there's lots of noise happening here, lots of conversations with people that have joined us here for the evening. So welcome, welcome, kia ora. This is our student lounge. So this is an area that you can use to study. You might be able to, well, you can have your lunch here, you can come in and just use the Wi-Fi and do some work. We also have some private offices here where you can meet with some of your staff, of our staff, not yours, and discuss some of the issues that you might be having, challenges, so that we can help you to overcome those, and or just get some advice or talk about the direction that you want to go with your studies to make your future the future that you're wanting to create. So come on, let's have a walk into the kitchen a little bit. So as you can see, there's lots of people here tonight, but we'll see if I can get a hello from some of our lovely staff here. I love it when you turn around and you see people hugging. It's just such a cozy environment. All right. Let me see. Craig, say hey. Kia ora. Craig's one of our main men here at the Mind Lab. And so here's the space, some of our key speakers, facilities. We've got an espresso machine. I mean, you've got to have a win with that. So let's go ahead and get out of this noise because it's a bit distracting and bring you back towards the main event room. Oh. You can't hide from us. We're following you. Right, say kia ora. Yeah, that's Jade. She's one of our other fabulous staff, marketing director. And here we are back in Manuka, where all the action is going to happen. Stay tuned. We're going to be getting started at 5:30, so it's about 5:25 right now. So in about 5 minutes, we're going to kick off the evening and then roll into the workshops and finish up with a panel. Be sure to drop your questions into any comment section or Q&A function that we have throughout the various platforms that we're streaming on. So kia ora, welcome to the Mind Lab.
Growth and confidence in people. And that can have wide-reaching impacts for both them and their communities. That's what we're here to help with. So all of our postgraduate programs have an equivalence pathway. This means the work, the community experience you've already had can count towards the entry requirements for a program. Entry requirements do vary for each program, but in all cases, you need to show evidence of your experience. Now that could include your CV, any professional certifications you've completed, a video to talk us through your experience, your work, your community roles. Maybe you've got some outputs you can share with us. Have you won an award at work? Was your community work mentioned in the local paper? Does your LinkedIn profile have a presentation you gave to an audience somewhere? Or you could provide references from colleagues. If you're asked to have an interview as part of the entry process, we'll also have the opportunity to talk through your experience then. Paul is a real-life example of a learner who didn't have a traditional academic history before he started with us. He chose to learn on the job as a chef, completing culinary qualifications, but never a university degree. When he found the Mind Lab and wanted to take on postgraduate study, he was able to enroll through our equivalence pathway. So, don't let academic hang-ups hold you back from learning and striving for what you want for your future. Instead, let's talk about where you want to go.
Get in touch today to find out how we can help you create the impactful future you're after.
Sustainability. It's the possibility that humans and other life on Earth will flourish forever, where we can meet the needs of today but not limit future generations their opportunity to thrive. And that means we need to reimagine how we do things, how we run our businesses, how we produce our goods, how we create equal opportunities for everyone, and how we regenerate our natural environments. To make sustainable change, we need to start by listening, to learn how to make those changes. And with emerging technologies like the Internet of Things, or IoT, we can. The Internet of Things for Sustainability micro-credential from Tech Futures Lab places you at the intersection between technology and your sustainability challenges. This 10-week part-time program, delivered online, introduces you to IoT technologies and contemporary sustainability practices. With real scenarios and class collaboration, you'll develop critical thinking skills to evaluate and design solutions that use IoT for positive, sustainable outcomes. You'll walk away able to apply these skills and this knowledge to shape innovations for your workplace, your community, or your organisation that are aligned to sustainability principles. Place sustainability at the heart of your decision making and use IoT technologies to realise that vision, not just for today, but for future generations. Find out more at techfutureslab.com.
The reason why I signed up to this program was to actually upskill myself, having the opportunity to meet with others from different industries.
I didn't actually really know what the course was going to offer me, but it seemed to speak to what I was looking for at the moment.
When I started my new job under a boss who's very good at digital skills and realised that my job is quite reliant on it, I realised it's a gap I really needed to fill.
I just want to feel more relevant actually in the workforce.
My mum had also done the course and spoke very highly of it. The content was completely related to what we were doing and what it meant for us.
The team from the Mind Lab was amazing. They were very helpful and guided me throughout my assessments.
I think it's just the pace. Yeah, just the variety.
I put the challenge that I did for an assignment into practice, and it's made a huge part of my work a lot easier. It's also changed things for my boss, because she always wanted to hear about what I was doing, and then started implementing some of the skills and the tools that we learned about into our workplace as well.
I've actually got a really interesting background, but I can't bring a degree to the table. So how do I fill the gaps, you know? How do I jump the queue, actually?
As soon as I got to the last few weeks of digital skills, I immediately started looking for what else I could do with the Mind Lab, because I so desperately didn't want it to be over.
Can't see how you could fit postgraduate study into your busy life?
Kia ora, welcome to the Mind Lab and Tech Futures Lab. Here we place our learners at the centre of everything we do. But what does that really mean? Well, for us, it means we do all we can to remove the barriers to lifelong learning. And we've put together this series of short videos to show you how. Watch on to find out how our programs are designed for busy people like you.
We do all we can to make learning accessible, whether it's fitting in with work projects, balancing it with home life, or accessing it outside of a physical classroom.
To start us with a karakia to all bring us into this beautiful session that we have created tonight. We always have karakias at the beginning of all our sessions, all our teaching sessions, for you just to have leave everything behind that you may have had today and to bring you into this session. Ko te kawa o ronga, ko te kawa o raro, ko te kawa ora, ko te kawa oro. E rongo e whakairahia ki runga turatoro o whiti, whakamaua kia tina, tina, huie, tai kia. Tēnā koutou katoa ko Fiona Webby taku ingoa. Lovely to have you all here at the Mind Lab and Tech Futures Lab tonight, and a special welcome to everybody who is joining us live this evening as well. I'd just like to give you a little bit of an update around the format for this evening. So we're going to kick off our first session, which is going to be a conversation that I'm going to be having with 3 of our employees here at the Mind Lab. And it's all around the need for bright ideas. So it'll be kind of a free-flowing conversation so that you can hear from 3 people about their different insights into bright ideas. We're then going to be hearing from some of our program teams around how you can create bright ideas. We then move into meeting our program team, so you'll be able to actually ask them questions and answers that you may have about our particular programs. And then we move into the workshop side of this evening. So we have a workshop from Jade Tang Taylor, which is all around the future. We have our second workshop is around leadership and impact from Tim Gander. And our last workshop is going to be around myth busting. So we're going to be talking to some of our current students and previous students around some of those myths around learning in the tertiary space. So I just wanted to give you a bit of an understanding and background to the Mind Lab and Tech Futures Lab and why you're all here and why we exist. So we're all about creating impactful futures. And we do this through some incredible programs, and that's what you're going to hear about tonight. But the reason that we do this is we want to ensure that we can give equitable and accessible education to all. So we do things like this hybrid, this online and face-to-face learning, because we know that we have people that may be abroad or they might be in Invercargill or rural areas, and so we want to make sure that anybody can learn with us. And the reason that we've set up our programs is we know that the world is changing incredibly quickly. And change can be quite unsettling, and it's hard often for us as adult learners because sometimes we haven't learnt in a long time. And often when we see new people coming into our programs, the first thing that I say to them is it's actually okay to be a little bit nervous. Some people haven't learnt for 30 plus years. And so what we do is we create a very safe learning environment for people where all of your ideas are welcome, because we know that you all come from different areas, from different industries, but we ask you to bring all of your experience to the table, because there's real magic in collaboration and being able to learn from one another. So without further ado, I just want to extend a huge warm welcome to you both online and in the room tonight. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to kick off into our first session. So I'll ask Saskia to come forward, and Andrew to come forward, and Craig. Okay, so as I said, I've got my back to people here, that's not ideal. Apologies. We've got 3 employees from the Mind Lab and Tech Futures here with us this evening, all from very different backgrounds and incredible experience. So what we'll do is I'll first ask each of you to introduce yourselves and tell us, how and why you came to the Mind Lab.
E mihi ana ki te mana whenua. I whana mai aho I Horana, ko kai Pātiki tāku ingwa Inaiane, ko Saskia Varas tāku ingwa no reira, tēnā koutou katoa. My name is Saskia Varas. I am the Thriving Futures Advisor. Well, it's actually written as Sustainable Futures Advisor, but I like to call it Thriving Futures Advisor. And it's actually more supporter as an advisor. I really like to work alongside people to inspire them to be confident and lead change for good. And where is a better place to find those people than here at Mind Lab and Tech Futures Lab? This is where indeed everybody is curious and open-minded and wants to learn those skills that are needed to lead for that thriving future. So that's why I'm here, Fee.
Hello there. My name is Andrew Dens. I am one of the newbies here. My tenure extends to the grand total of 6 weeks in the role of CTO. So I was previously at the Automobile Association and was approached for the role based on a series of really inspiring conversations that started with Fee and moved on to Francis. And I was truly blown away by the opportunity that the Mind Lab represents. The ability, obviously, in my role is to support the initiatives that the Mind Lab wants to put into effect, leveraging technology, leveraging best practices, but also with that mind to support and celebrate the innovative approaches that come along with needing to get stuff into production, to test, to learn, to innovate, but within some really strong guardrails, because, as I'm sure everyone is aware, the internet's a fairly dangerous place, and that's only increasingly so. So the more that we can do to ensure that we've got the flexibility, the scalability, and the robustness to operate in that space, the happier everyone will be. So part of my role is to attempt to facilitate that journey, to facilitate the inspirational journey that we want to introduce into the technical realm, but coupled with that slightly cynical outlook that the internet is a very risky place. So that's what I'm here for.
Hello everyone, I'm Craig. I'm just trying to remember. I met Francis in about 2013. I was working for a large organisation which I wasn't that happy at. Large organisations are not very much fun, thank you. Over the next 4 years with Francis, I was involved externally and in various projects, and absolutely every meeting I had with her, I tried to make it really obvious that I would say yes if she offered me a job, and it took about 4 years for her to finally do that, and when she did, I was quite glad to be in this organisation. It's by far the best job I've ever had, And I would say the main reason for that is the culture that she has led within the organisation.
Kia ora, thank you all. Now, we talk about, the theme tonight is bright ideas, and some people come into our doors, through our doors or online, already knowing that they've got a bright idea and they want to see if they can bring it to life. And then on the flip side of that, some people come in and they think, I just think something needs to change. Something's not quite right. I don't know if it's me, I don't know if it's my organisation, I don't know where I want to go. And just having that little curious thought is something that we absolutely love, because you'll come into the environment, you have all these amazing speakers and facilitators and staff members and cohort, and that's where the real magic happens. So when we talk about the future, that future can be a bright idea, or it can just be that little feeling, that little inkling that something's a little bit different and needs to change. So I guess my question to the panel is, when you think about the future, what excites you? I'll let any of you jump in.
In the space that I'm in, sustainability or thriving futures, it's quite easy to get down if you look at the media and hear the reports. And you know, this weekend we've got a big global climate conference kicking off again. However, what really excites me is that there are so many opportunities for people to find purpose, to help with actually resolving all these issues that we are identifying, that we now have data on that we didn't used to have. And people that are working together and are starting to become more open-minded to actually collaborate and try and find solutions to those incredibly complex issues. And that is incredibly exciting, and that is what happens here, the magic indeed, because even people that come in with an idea of this is what I'm going to do, I often keep changing it because they hear about all the interconnections and the fact that they can open their minds even further and create better, more quality solutions for a future that is economically inclusive and socially just and just thriving for all. So that's incredibly exciting.
I think one of the things that's really opened my eyes recently, and this has come through deep level exposure now in these 6 weeks, about the notion of micro-credentials, the notion of learning not being 3 to 4 years in an Ivy League university that then leads you into a career that you're locked into, if you so choose, for 20 or 30 years. That learning journey can never stop, and it doesn't necessarily have to get in the way of your personal life, your professional development. It's the ability to learn in front of Netflix, the ability to learn on a ferry or on a train, and the role that technology plays in not just delivering that to you, but then actually connecting you to co-learners and driving inspiration and gaining inspiration from people that you may never physically meet in the real world. And we've all heard about the metaverse, and who knows how that's going to pan out. But that notion of sharing ideas in a safe and collaborative and engaging environment for mutual benefit is certainly not one to dismiss lightly. On a slightly perhaps more negative note, the events in Ukraine also show when people are put under pressure and when the chips are down, people will seek innovative solutions. The fact that sort of open intelligence, as it's called, has laid bare some negative aspects to human culture, but people are working together to bring some of that stuff into the limelight. If you imagined 20 or 30 years ago that you'd be getting a live feed from the battlefield and you're actually driving home some of these terrible, terrible things that are happening, there's still inspiration to be found in that. People are learning to communicate and survive and thrive under the worst circumstances. Parents are still able to give their children an education from a bomb shelter. And if that can be turned around for good, then, the sky's the limit. It is truly possible.
We had a student this morning who's tackling climate change. I mean, I'm kind of interested, who has climate change depression? And And I was thinking about this because sometimes I think about this quite a bit, and it's a big problem. And a friend of mine down in Dunedin lies in front of the train track at 5:30 in the morning to stop the coal going to Fonterra and I'm wondering why he's not depressed. And I think it's because he's taking action. And I think one of the things that learning can do, and what good programs that involve learning that have real value help us to take that sort of action.
I'm just going to go off script for a second and talk about action and talk about projects. And maybe Craig and Saskia, this might be one for you around what is kind of your insight around the power of doing something and having a project that can tangibly be put into an organisation or a community, an iwi, whoever, whatever that may look like.
I'll probably end up going back to that sort of need to do action when there's something worrying you. You know, like whether it's if you're unhealthy, you start doing healthy things, or if the planet's unhealthy, you start doing healthy things for the planet. And I think we have to be, if we're not involved in projects that better the world, it's really hard to sort of justify what you're doing.
I think the question was around the value of having a project as part of the program, which is incredibly valuable because you are indeed working towards action. You're not just learning and talking and walking but you're starting to run. You're starting to actually create change, and that's what everybody is here for, right? You're here because you want to learn, because you want to change something. So how cool is it that you can actually do that as part of the program, and you have all the support of all those incredible other learners that are part of your cohort, and the alumni that you can become part of, and you can bounce your ideas and make that idea so much better and create that action whilst you're there and get all the feedback and keep going into a much better direction than where you started. So that's incredibly powerful.
Awesome, thank you. Now, oh yes.
Given I missed the point of that question, I think I might just add that I think this is where Fee was leading us. As the My Lab and Tech Futures Lab, we're really big on learning by doing, not learning by sitting in a library and writing about it. You learn so much by doing, and I think anybody that has a lot of academic degrees would realise that they probably did most of their learning outside of classrooms. So we're trying to make our classrooms a little more like outside of classrooms.
Nice, thank you. Now, failure. Let's talk about failure. If I think back to the early days of the Mind Lab when we were teaching children, one of the things we used to teach them every single day was failure and how to cope with failure. And I was always amazed at children, you know, something doesn't work, they'd be doing something hands-on and doing some coding or some electronic engineering, and their ability to pivot and find other solutions when something wasn't working was just amazing to watch. And often as adults, failure's kind of hard and it's uncomfortable. And so my question to all of you is around what is failure to you and how does it help build bright ideas?
I love failure. I don't think there's any sort of hidden message that they gave me the mic when they asked me to talk about failure. Your failure or perceived failure is someone else's springboard to success if it's transparent, if it's shared, and if it came from a great place. There's nothing wrong with failure. Failure is just not quite succeeding yet. There's a great viral video out there about failure, climbing up the steps, bouncing on the trampoline, getting back up on the steps, taking one step at a time, taking 4 steps back. As long as there's that continual progression, then failure is absolutely fine. Coming most recently from a corporate background, failure can come in many different incarnations. Failing to stick within a budget is perceived as a failure. But if that budget's been set from wildly inaccurate assumptions or presumptions, that's not a failure. That's not a failure on you, that's a failure on the surrounding environment that you found yourself in. That culture of sharing and learning from failure is a really hard one to overcome. You may have noticed my tablet, which is fantastic. One of the hidden benefits to this actually came from my children. doing maths, doing sums, and being able to fail and being able to erase that failure with then, they've learned from that failure, but then there's no actual representation of failure on the page. It's been erased, and they don't feel bad about that. That perception of it being something to carry with you is ridiculous. It's something to learn and grow from. And I think one of the strongest messages that I've learned in my clearly very long career in this space is failure is fantastic. Failure is great. How you encounter it within your particular environment can be a challenge, but it's nothing to carry around with you.
Yeah, so one of the things I think is a problem with failure is because of the stigma associated with it, we don't talk about failure, we don't share failure enough. It gets hidden, and maybe we learn, even if we're learning from our own failures, we're not sharing it with others who could also learn from those failures. In science research, it's called publication bias. You don't publish what doesn't work, so everyone else tries it as well. So I think we need to be more comfortable with failure and sharing it as a successful learning thing just as much as successes.
Yeah, I actually don't even like the word failure. I think it is a traditional Western word that has the wrong connotations already, and especially in an uncertain world, the uncertain world that we are in now, with so many things still evolving, we just don't even know where we're going. It is all about experimenting, and it's all about, trying things out and see if it brings us further towards that thriving future or not, and reflecting on it, adapting it, and going further. So failure doesn't even come into it, really.
Awesome, thank you. Great way of looking at it, Saskia, thank you. So, oh, sorry, Craig, you want to go more? No?
No.
You're good? So making things happen and bringing ideas to life also means that we need to change how we do things and how we might work with others. What does this mean to you?
Working with others, that's what it's all about. Radical collaboration is definitely my total philosophy of where we need to go. And this is all about letting go of that perception that we have all been taught, again, in traditional business education, that we need to look at competition first. Oh my God, who's already in this space, and how can we push them out? That is not what we need at all. We need to think about how can we all work together? What are our common grounds? What are our common values? How can we drive that forward? How can we help each other create those solutions that we're working on? We all have a little space. There is so much change that is needed. So it's all about finding those collaborative places and...
He's thought of it.
Fee said we should use examples. So a really obvious example is the way that the biomedical world don't work with each other, but in the context of COVID, produced a number of vaccines in a short amount of time through concentrated collaboration and sharing failures probably as well in order to make that happen. So when there's a will, there's a way.
That's okay. It's all good.
No.
Okay, I think we've got like 2 minutes. So what's one bright idea you can see for the future?
Well, if I may jump in here, I've got the mic. I think one of the things, and I don't think it's necessarily bright, but it is the embracing indigenous knowledge is something that unfortunately might be seen as bright, but actually it's really sad that we actually have to rediscover that right now. But I think definitely that is what we need to do, and it's exciting that we are actually more open to it now, especially here in, I think in Aotearoa, we are a lot further ahead than most of the countries in that. And relearning, I suppose, from that incredible ancient wisdom that actually has solutions for how we should build a thriving future. I think that is very bright. And we should all definitely go with that.
I've changed the voting age to between 4 and 40 and let the young people have their say, because the planet needs to be there for them, and our decisions that we're making right now tend to be short-termed.
This one's probably more tailored to those of you in larger organizations. I think it's an old trope, I think, these days, but the notion of the career is dead. Embrace the fact that retention and attraction and inspiration is going to be the medium by which you attract talent and retain talent. Don't presume that that talent's going to be around forever. It definitely won't be. That talent may not even be in the same time zone. It may not even be human in the future. I've been blown away recently by some of the GPT AI stuff. One of the threats to education right now, although it can be turned into a benefit, is that students are getting AI to write their theses, and they're getting A's, and that's happening right now. So the notion of embracing change does come with checks and balances, but the fact that these tools are available and out there has to mean something for a greater future if it's brought to bear appropriately. And I think the opportunity to leverage technology for good has never been stronger, and certainly the pace and the velocity has never been higher. So initiatives and innovative approaches for learning and inspiring and taking people to that next level is, for me, the brightest thing that we could possibly focus on.
Beautiful. Well done. Thank you. Andrew, Saskia, and Craig, thank you very much. Okay, so hopefully that's given you a little bit of insight into some of the brains that are here at the Mind Lab and Tech Futures Lab. And one thing I kind of love about that theme that's coming through is around human potential. I think this is our chance to be more human than ever. And in fact, we have all these levers, such one of which is technology that can be played as an enabler. But really, this is our chance to shine. And I was reflecting this morning, in fact, and thinking about my parents and their generation, and I thought, wow, how lucky are we right now to have so many opportunities to make change. It's pretty cool. Now, our next session is how can you create bright ideas, and we're going to have an overview from our program leads.
Looks like you're up first, Tim.
I'm looking for Sophia. Or are you going to be up there, Claire?
Oh, we're missing Sophia though. Kia ora koutou. My name's Claire. I'm Program Coordinator for the Masters of Contemporary Education and the other two ones that we do as well in education. I just thought I'd give us a little brief overview of what we do. So I don't know how many of you here are teachers at the moment or educators, but we've been doing this here at the Mind Lab for a long time. And while I'm new here, I have been working with the education sector for a little while. And the last 3 years, particularly the last year, has probably seen more changes in the education field than what you may have seen in your entire career. There's access to all these new technologies, and we need to be able to navigate the new normal at lightning speed. Because you're here to hear what we have to say, we know that you're the change makers and the visionaries in the education field, and there's a lot that will need to change. It's not just teaching, it's about creating the future of education and the ability to respond to social and cultural change. So we'll ask you today if you're ready to take up the challenge for 2023. We'd love to provide you with the opportunity to collaborate and to network with like-minded people through our courses and to prepare you for this change, adapting to the future and finding your confidence as an educational leader and as a futurist. We have 3 educational programs, which Sophia will talk about soon. Come on up. And so these are developed to be studied alongside your work in your schools or in your education fields, and you'll be able to make these ongoing impacts every day as you're teaching.
Awesome. Thank you, Claire. So hello everyone, I'm Sophia Zhang. Currently I'm working on the Master of Contemporary Education program. So we have about 3 education programs in the main lab. The first one is digital collaborative teaching and learning, which is a level 8 8-week micro-credential for anyone to want to have a taste of the education space. So if you want to understand about what your Gen Z students are thinking about and to meet some interesting people, that's the one you can try out, and it's open for everyone internationally and domestically. And another education program we have is digital collaborative learning. So that is a step up for the micro-credential. So it's a 34-week postgrad certificate for you to build up our confidence to bring all those digital technologies into your setting. So that program has been so successful, and so far we have supported around 6,000 educators across New Zealand, and the impact is just immeasurable because, you know, teachers, they are the real influencers, and they are just in a unique position to influence young lives, to shape their course of life and to help them chase dreams. And another education program we have is the Master of Contemporary Education, which is a level 9 program. So it is highly relevant to education context in all levels. And I guess we just have the pleasure to have had supported hundreds of educators so far and to do things they don't think they can do before with our 4 distinctive courses, collaborative in practice and leadership in practice and digital fluency and contemporary teaching. So I'll pass over to Tim to talk to you some details, exciting details about those programs.
Kia ora, Sophia. Ko te miganda toko ingoa. Apparently we had 2 minutes. I think we've definitely gone way over 2 minutes, but I'm sure some of my colleagues will expand a bit more on what the courses look like. One of the main ways we bring these bright ideas to life on our programs is sharing the impact of our students' work. Andrew mentioned earlier on that some students are using AI to write their theses and their essays, which actually sounds like a great idea. We actually show some of the teachers how to do that. And that's ended up inspiring them to use AI and chatbots in their classes to support their learners. We've also got teachers that are using talanoa and some of the traditional kaupapa Māori methods through their research to support the learners engaging their content. And we're really proud of what our teachers do, and we really hope to be able to share that on a wider platform and bring all those bright ideas to life. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Tim. Ko Dave toko ingoa. I've been asked to talk about upskilling programs, and I think actually all of our programs are upskilling, but I was asked to talk about 3 specific ones, and they're all microcreds. And you might wonder, what the hell's a microcredential? Andrew mentioned them earlier. They kind of grew out of the MOOC movement, and after a while, people kind of wanted them to mean more. And one of the cool things about New Zealand is that we didn't come up with microcreds, but NZQA have been really active in making us international leaders, and the Mind Lab have been leaders in New Zealand in bringing micro-credentials into the market. So I've been asked to talk about 3 of these. Digital Skills for the Workplace is an awesome level 7 program. It's so awesome I forced one of my daughters to do it and one of my best friends, and they loved it. It's a really, really good short program that is exactly what it says on the tin. Simple digital tools that inspire you to be able to bring your bright ideas to life. So that's a great sort of foundation skills program that works for you, whatever sort of context you work in. Another one I've been asked to talk about is entrepreneurship. And you might think, well, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. But I think that's because there's maybe an idea in our heads about if to be an entrepreneur, you have to, like, you know, start a business, right? And you have to just do that. But that's not true. I mean, you might think that entrepreneurship might be better called being enterprising. It doesn't make a very good course title, but that's kind of really what it is. And I mean, I think many of us are entrepreneurs because we might do more than one thing. We might have side hustles. We might have things that we maybe think are kind of hobbies, but actually we're being enterprising in our lives. And we're taking those bright ideas and we're doing something with it. And so it's a lot broader than you might think it is. And the third one, which is my own sort of baby, is software development processes and tools, which I spent a lot of time working in software development over the years, and I wanted to have a program to offer where people could kind of really demystify it, because often we're bamboozled by people who work in software, and if we're sort of customers, we wonder, like, why is it so expensive? Why did it take so long? And why is it rubbish? And I wanted to give people a bit of an insight into how you can work with people in software so that you can kind of build a relationship and understand it. And it's getting a bit technical. I'm halfway through the first run, and this week it was like, install your own server, write your own web pages, style your own web pages, and people are kind of going, oh wow, I can do this. This is kind of fun. So yeah, bright ideas, like helping people do stuff that maybe they didn't really think about that they could do, or even that they really were halfway there already but hadn't sort of formalized it. So those 3 micro-credentials are the ones I've been asked to talk about, and I think they capture the essence of giving you an opportunity to do something fun, exciting, and worthwhile and meaningful for your lives.
Kia ora tātou, Fiona Pond, Programs Lead for Tech Futures Lab here, which means I have the pleasure of overseeing the Masters of Technological Futures and our 2 postgraduate certificates, so one being in Human Potential for the Digital Economy and the other Connected Environments. Just eye on the time there. Okay, let's keep it tight. Look, Bright Ideas is what we do. If you want to talk specifics of the programs, please do come out and see me afterwards. But yeah, Bright Ideas is what we do, and how we do it is through a combination, a formula that runs through all our programs, combining, what do we got? We've got curiosity, we've got content, context, and community. So, number 1, curiosity. It starts with you, and you being willing to see things a little bit differently, to believe things can be done differently. And I think the fact that you've turned up here tonight, either online or here in face-to-face, suggests you've got that curiosity. So, there we go, tick. Secondly, content. So look, we will provide you plenty of content to keep your curiosity piqued. The way we do that, we have a range of industry experts that come in and speak to technology. And we're talking technology in its broader sense of the word. So yes, there will be the hard tech of emerging disruptive technologies, but also new ways of doing things. So new business models, new leadership frameworks, new ways of working, whole different spectrum of new to explore. Thirdly, we've got context, okay? Context. Your context, this is the key that unlocks it all, okay? So this is how we ensure that you are creating something truly useful and valuable to each and every one of you. We know that you are the expert in your context. You know your space better than anyone else. You know the problems, the challenges you face, the opportunities that exist. What we ask you to do is to take your context and examine it through the lens of technology. Think about, how might this technology apply in my world? What problems do I have that this might help me solve? And last, but definitely not least, community. So you will not be alone. We have a fabulous community here. You'll be connected into the broader Tech Futures whānau, not just your immediate classroom, but a broader network of amazing people, all unified around the fact that critical engagement for technology, they're passionate about, and that they want to see it make positive social impact. So look, you don't have to be techie to do our programs. Just be curious, be yourself, and be open to doing things differently. The bright ideas will follow. Kia ora.
And I'm here to represent Leading Change for Good, which is a postgraduate course, and Leading Beyond Sustainability, which is a micro-credential. And everything that I said before when I was on the panel is basically what we do in the course. So it's starting with Leading Change for Good. It is really a leadership journey that you go on, and the first 17 weeks, so it's 34 weeks in total, the first 17 weeks are really internally focused, and we really go and help you explore and reflect yourself as a leader for good. So we definitely, the thread through the whole course is the for good bit, and we really explore that really deeply with each other. Like, as I said, that collective wisdom is incredibly important and very, very much encouraged within the Leading Change for Good cohorts. And we create a very safe space to start exploring some of these incredible, complex, and sometimes awkward topics to explore. The other thread is definitely also Indigenous wisdom. As I said, for us, that is definitely part of Leading Change for Good going forward. So it has to be part of what we do and how we do it going forward. And after the first 17 weeks, you know, again, we are very untraditional in the way that everything is taught. So definitely, you know, people that come from a traditional educational background are very often surprised because they don't expect, they think that we will just give them a multiple choice exam. But that's not it. Like after the first 17 weeks, your main assessment is actually creating a portfolio, or you create it through the 17 weeks, but that's what you hand in. And as part of the assessment, we ask you to reflect on that, reflect on your journey for 17 weeks and what you have learned about the topics that we are introducing to you, which is all about authenticity and sustainability, and indeed the use of indigenous wisdom and what you've learned about that and that sort of thing. That is your assessment, really untraditional. And then the second 17 weeks are becoming more externally focused. That's where you start creating your own change strategy. But as part of that, what we do is also service learning. So we actually, the first part of those second 17 weeks, we have case studies with not-for-profits out in Aotearoa that you actually help to solve a challenge. As a group, we do lots of group assignments too, because that is how you learn, and you help an actual real problem to be resolved with the collective wisdom and with the new tools that you've already picked up, which is incredibly exciting, and you feel immediately that you can start giving back and also learn what leading change for good actually means in real life from the people that are actually presenting the case studies and that as well. And then at the end of the 17 weeks, there is a change strategy, which is what are you going to do to make a change? And that could be in any way of within your context, could be corporate if you're working in that environment, but it could also be a personal project potentially if that's how, what your context is at that point in time. Leading change, like I said, it's a very, very much a supportive program. As with all the other programs, you don't have to have a traditional educational background to come onto a postgraduate course. We will support you through it. And then the micro-credential, Leading Beyond Sustainability, dives a little bit deeper into the sustainability side and what all those different acronyms mean and different frameworks. And at the end of Leading Beyond Sustainability, which is only 8 weeks, so very short, sharp, course to upskill yourself in that sort of space of the latest what's going on in sustainability around the world. At the end of that, you also deliver a project brief, which is not quite a strategy, it's just a project brief. But again, we encourage people to actually do something, to make a change and start happening and apply your learning to that to see what it actually means. So that's us, I think. Fee?
Sophia, Claire, Tim, Dave, Saskia, kia ora, thank you. Great elevator pitches. And one thing I just wanted to add to that is you may or may not have heard about this word stackables. So a wee while ago, NZQA allowed us to have what we call stackables. So Dave there was talking about micro-credentials, the short courses or the ones that range from sort of 7 weeks to 15 weeks. Essentially what you can do is you can stack up different micro-credentials or postgrad certificates on your way towards a master's. So if that's something that may be of interest to you, then I'd highly recommend you talk to our program teams who are just going to be outside or online when we take a break. And it might be that you don't really know what you want to do, and so sometimes micro-credentials are a really good way to start getting into things. Or you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't studied for so long and I'm a little bit out of touch. And again, great way just to get you into the rhythm of learning again and finding how you do it with your work-life balance and then with your goal to just keep going and going and going. And I will say, and I'm kind of echoing what Lisa, one of our outreach managers, says and what Saskia says as well from time to time, is learning is quite addictive. So again, those sort of the short courses are quite good to just get you in and then suddenly like, oh, this is quite fun. And then off you go. And the cohort of people allows you to get pretty excited about your next phase. Okay, we're right on time. So 6:15, we're going to take a 15-minute break. So I'd highly recommend those people who are in the room just pop out. We're going to have some refreshments and talk to the program teams and our outreach managers. And those online, you'll have a chance to ask some questions as well to Hayley Sparks, who is our National Academic Manager, who will be there to answer your questions as well. Kia ora.
All our programs are designed to be practical and applied. Assignments can be linked to projects you want to deliver in your day job. This makes it easier to integrate your learning straight away into your today while working on plans for your tomorrow. Our micro-credentials are delivered fully online, some in live online sessions, others to be watched when it suits you. That means it's possible to learn from wherever you are, and often whenever is best for you. Our postgraduate certificates have a blended learning format, with weekly online class sessions and full-day workshops paced throughout. That gives you freedom to keep managing life alongside connecting and collaborating with your cohort. And as well as the option for blended or on-site learning format, our master's program can also be taken part-time or full-time, depending on the time you have to dedicate. Whether you're learning purely online, in a blended format, part-time or full-time, you'll always have digital collaboration tools and platforms to keep you connected and engaged with your cohort. Learning should be part of life, for life.
Get in touch today to find out how we can help you create the impactful future you're after.
To go through the Masters during COVID and still get the work done in school and still build a team and learn how to work online naturally. It's amazing how we can quickly adapt.
On day one, I was overwhelmed, a little scared, but by the end of the program, I got so much value out of the program. I got to add it to other people's learning experience as well.
The connections with those on the cohort and all the different presenters and speakers and facilitators, thought-provoking, deep discussions. It's a very, very powerful, special journey.
Learned so much. I think it was the learning was the most important thing. Just developing connections with other people. It's been awesome.
I always felt that like that in all of our sessions, like I could always contribute, and I always felt like I was contributed to.
I'm really proud of Mum, and this is something that she really wanted to do for herself and to develop, and I just know how much she really has enjoyed this learning.
I'm a business analytics manager, so I work in data science in the industry. What I had been feeling over the years was how the human element really sometimes was a hindrance to any change that you wanted to happen. That's really why I went more for the human potential in the digital economy rather than the connected environments, because I felt I needed to grow more on that, how to deal with the human side of things, which is, I think, so much more complex than the technical side. I had been following TFL for probably the last 2 years. So I was keeping in touch with, the programs that were happening, and I was always thinking, it's not the time, it's not the time. And all of a sudden I got an email in my mailbox saying, we've got the next cohort starting. And it looked really amazing in terms of the program. I looked for a couple of days for all of the reasons why I shouldn't sign up. I couldn't find any, so that was me. Through the years, I've come to realize and be more and more fascinated by the human aspect of change, because leading change from what you can bring in terms of tools and everything is really interesting, but you soon come to realize that you need to take the whole ecosystem into play and be really astute with that. And so over the years I've come to really realize that this human aspect is key to making change happen, even more so than any tools that you could have. And so that's really why the Human Potential in the Digital Economy program appealed to me I found exactly what I was looking for in this program. So yeah, no, I'm really happy that I made that choice. When the program started, yes, I was still full-time at my job, but 2 months into it, I had my third kid. So now I've been on maternity leave for probably, for 5 months. So I haven't really been working during the program, but I think that what was really interesting is that it allowed me to kind of step back from what I was doing from my company and see things from a more general perspective. So actually the maternity leave was actually the best probably time for me to kind of like think, reflect, and yeah, so it was the perfect timing for me.
Software technologies and the ways that we use them change all the time and constantly provide us with new and exciting challenges and opportunities. The Understanding Software Development Tools and Processes microcredential is a big picture view of everything you could possibly want to know about how software development works, including the different roles that people have, the processes they go through, the digital tools they use, the interactions that take place between teams and stakeholders, how the web works, how data is represented, challenges like security, equity, and inclusivity, and more. There is some technical content. For example, we'll cover the basics of how the web works and how code is developed for the client and the server. But participants can choose whether they want to focus on the technical aspects or other parts of the software development lifecycle in their project work. Whatever role you have in relation to software development, whether as an end user of a system, providing requirements, testing changes, giving input to new projects or purchases, or even thinking about developing your own website or mobile app, gaining insights into the processes and tools that software developers use will be valuable to you. Maybe right now you've no involvement in software development at all, but are just interested in what it's all about, or have wondered if it could be a future career move for you. If so, this qualification is for you. Since first working with software in the late 1980s, I've been privileged to work with many development teams across the world, and I've written extensively about different aspects of software development tools and processes. It's great to have had this opportunity to draw together my own skills and knowledge with those from others in the Tech Futures team and our industry experts to put together this micro-credential. We'd love for you to join us and take the next step in your own professional learning journey.
Have a fear that postgraduate study is a lonely experience?
Kia ora, welcome to the Mind Lab and Tech Futures Lab. Here we place our learners at the centre of everything we do. But what does that really mean? Well, for us, it means we do all we can to remove the barriers to lifelong learning. And we've put together this series of short videos to show you how. In this one, we're talking about connections and community.
None of us exist in a vacuum, so your learning shouldn't be done in isolation either. When you learn with us, collaboration and community is always top of mind. So we design spaces in all our programs to foster opportunities for these important moments. One of our guiding principles is ako, or reciprocal learning. That means we encourage each person, learner or teacher, to bring their experiences to share and help expand the collective understanding. For starters, just by learning alongside others who come from different industries and backgrounds creates a shared experience that can add so much depth to your learning. And learning together, you keep each other accountable to stay on track, keep the energy up, and get your assignments in on time. And the connections you make and the collaboration you enjoy don't have to stop when you complete your program. Creating impactful futures needs momentum and networks, so we run regular alumni events and catch-ups to share and talk through ideas and challenges our learners are working through. Whatever you're coming to learn about, you'll gain much more than you had expected. A community of thinkers and doers, all dedicated to making big things happen with positive outcomes.
Get in touch today to find out how we can help you create the impactful future you're after.
A new era is dawning. What we've known for the past 100 years will not serve us or our planet for the next 100. It's time to step forward into an exciting new space that's ready to be transformed and shaped using fresh thinking that places people, planet and purpose at the centre. Let's imagine technologies that serve to improve well-being and add value to relationships. Economies that put humanity and planetary needs first. Businesses that nurture creativity, collaboration and connection. Corporations that play a regenerative role in society. Communities that have equal voice alongside business. Societies that uphold inclusion, fairness and equality for all walks of life. Cities that serve to help its residents and the environment thrive. We all have it in us. Open up to your potential and let's start making new realities together. The Postgraduate Certificate in Human Potential for the Digital Economy. Learn how to put people and purpose at the centre.
Artificial intelligence, blockchain, big data, the Internet of Things, extended reality. These aren't technologies of the future. They're in use every day around the world in leading organisations, delivering value and enhancing how we work and live. Here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, we're still on the cusp of wide-scale use of these disruptive technologies. But digital transformation is here, and organisations that want to be part of the fourth industrial revolution need to grasp what these technologies mean and the potential they offer. The Disruptive Technologies Micro-Credential from Tech Futures Lab builds your knowledge and confidence to use emerging technologies in your industry, workplace or business. Over 10 weeks, you'll get an understanding of current and emerging disruptive technologies, or EDTs, get insight into the disruption they're causing in key industries, and explore the potential for application in your practice. Delivered online, using mixed media and interactive collaboration sessions, you'll be led by industry and technology experts who bring practical experience to help you shape an EDT strategy that enhances how your workplace operates. You'll walk away with a plan on a page you can take back for further refinement and development in your business or organisation. Demystify emerging disruptive technologies and lead your business into the digital future. Find out more at techfutureslab.com.
Do you have a business idea that you want to make a reality? Well, build the skills, traits and network that any successful entrepreneur needs with this power-packed short course in entrepreneurship at Tech Futures Lab.
If you're open to that way of being, then this is definitely a way of approaching it. You don't necessarily have to come in and say, I have to go into business myself. I might be just investigating the opportunities that are there, and what those opportunities are or what the business is, you don't really know yet, but it might give you some openings for an idea or an opening for an opportunity.
Get tools to spot opportunities and turn them into viable initiatives. Hear from experts who share their experience building businesses.
So someone's watching this and they're thinking about embarking on a tech-enabled business. What do you think they should be thinking about as their number one priority?
Fall in love with the problem, not the solution.
Learn the skill of creating and pitching enticing investment proposals. And build your own network with other entrepreneurs.
The entrepreneur, I'm assuming, is going, oh, this is just part of the entrepreneurial journey.
Exactly.
Like, you know, we have these moments in time where we go, we're going to throw all our toys and step out.
Yeah.
And we need someone to come in and kind of basically say, stick in there, because actually you've done the graft already.
Whether it's starting your own business or leading transformation projects from within, you'll get the skills and know-how that you need with this 10-week online course.
I think if you're still not sure, that means you're asking the question, and if you're asking the question, then I think, yeah, give it a go.
The best investment you can make in growing your own business is in yourself. Find out more at techfutureslab.com.
We are the Mind Lab and Tech Futures Lab. Together, our purpose is to create impactful futures. We do this by providing innovative education to empower all people of Aotearoa New Zealand and beyond to stay ahead of a constantly changing world. Come and see what the future is all about. Get excited and arm yourself with the skills, the confidence and ability to make real change. Come and learn with us.
There's a feeling that comes with celebration, that with recognition and connection, love and friendship. Because learning and why we're here is one of the most powerful things we have in our lives. In this room alone, we have 180 graduates. Collectively, over the last 12 months, they've put in over 10,000 hours of learning, sharing, debating, discovering, experimenting. They are curious and dedicated and willing to load just one more thing in their already hectic lifestyle in the pursuit of being the best they can possibly be. Life is only great if we grow. And the only way we can grow is if we change. And the only way we can change is if we learn. And the only way we learn is if we put ourselves into places that feel slightly uncomfortable. And to feel uncomfortable, you have to take yourself right out to the margins, to the edges of your capability. Because it's there, when you push yourself hard, you discover what you're truly capable of.
Thought-provoking, deep discussions. It's a very, very powerful, special journey.
It's amazing how we can quickly adapt. It's a great celebration of that, really. Adaptable human ability.
So it pushed me and challenged me to look outside of my current career.
Project-based learning to develop social emotional skills.
So I've been teaching for 20 years and it's really just changed the way that I think about power of influence.
If I hadn't done my lab, I wouldn't have had the confidence to find the authentic me.
Gotten through the interview, let alone do the job, if I'd not done this study.
The Mind Lab's got your back. They really do. Yeah, it's been awesome, an awesome journey.
I feel incredibly lucky to be part of it.
Yeah. Are you guys good? Kia ora, kia ora. Can you guys hear me? Oh, there we go. Kia ora. My name is Anna Mari. I haven't met you yet. I'm just helping out with the emceeing for the evening here tonight. And we're going to move into some of the workshops. And first up, we have Jade TT, or Tang Taylor, and she's our innovative director. And we're going to be talking about Tech Futures, Your Future. So this is an interactive workshop. She'll get into some of the content and then possibly have some time for some feedback. So we'll see how it goes. Come on in, Jade. Thanks. Kia ora.
Do I need two mics? Yeah, I've got like a Madonna mic going on. Kia ora koutou, ko Jade Tokoingoa, ko Tangata Tiriti Aho. Welcome back. Put your hand up if you met someone awesome or new in the Yeah. And I was like, hopefully everyone's put their hand up. Be slightly awkward otherwise. As Anna Mari mentioned, I am the Innovation Director here at Tech Futures Lab. And like a lot of people here, my career has definitely been more of a squiggly line than a straight line, working in creative industries and in academia, philanthropy, consulting, and now innovation. And I guess for me, really passionate around design, tech and innovation for social impact and social change as well. And we're all about creating impactful futures here. And clicker, sorry, should have had the clicker. Here it is. But today, we'll kind of be talking less about the tech, actually, and more about your future in particular. And really love this quote by Eleanor Roosevelt around the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And what Futures Cone in terms of strategic foresight as well. It's one of the tools and methods around predicting what that future might look like. So what is the Futures Cone? You might have seen, I guess the future is many. The future is not just one. There's lots of different potential pathways. So you've got probable, where these are things that might likely happen based on current trends that exist. You've got plausible, which is things that are likely to happen based on current understanding of the world, of your world. And as mentioned before, we teach a lot about context rather than content. There's things around what's possible. So these are things that might happen based on knowledge that you might not be privy to yet at this moment in time. And then we've got preferable. So these are, I guess, more your future vision and what that could be. These are often aligned with your values and what you're wanting to see in the world. And all of this is really looking at, I guess, taking into account what your past might look like in terms of your career, where you are at presently, and how that might inform your potential future, whether it be in your organisation, whether it be in your business, whether it be in yourself and your future and your learning journey as well. So I really want this to be a bit more interactive rather than me speaking at you as well. And this is a bit of an exercise around future visioning and backcasting. So backcasting is, again, another kind of planning method, different to the Futures Cone, where you're looking at where you're at now and looking at potential future pathways. But actually, this one flips it on its head a little bit, and you're looking at your future vision or potential pathways around what success looks like for you in the future. Then you jump back into your then you jump back into your current state. Where do you feel that you're currently situated at this moment in time? And then looking at some key actions and key steps that you might take to move you closer to that. So if we go back, so what does your success look like for you in the future? You might think about 12 months from now. You might think about 5 to 10 years from now. You might think about much broader than that as well. And it might be, in 5 to 10 years' time, I might, or maybe 2 to 3 years' time, because it feels like 5 to 10 years is a long time. You might want to find a career in the tech industry. You might want to found your own tech startup in some way. You might want more flexible working environments or hybrid and working environments and working remotely. I think we've got someone that works from Bali at this moment in time. Then where you're at now. So you're all here for a reason. You're all obviously incredibly curious and wanting to grow, learn, stretch yourself. What new challenges might be on the horizon? What do you want to learn? How are you currently feeling in your current situation? And then what are the key steps? And I think that you've taken the first step by being here tonight, whether it be in person or online. And what are those next steps that might need to happen? So talking to your program leads, potentially enrolling if that's something that you see as part of your learning journey as well. So this exercise usually takes about 30 to 60 minutes. We only have 5 minutes. We'll see how we go. But you've got pens around. And those that are online, we've got a medal board link for you to join as well. Oh, thank you. And we're really just looking at taking the time to look at your future, taking that time to reflect. Tessa. Oh. Share, or I don't know if you want to share the big time. You don't want to share? You've already shared? Did you? No, share. Oh yes. You don't have to share back with everyone. Yeah. of different colours. I'm loving this. Yeah, if you want to share as a table as well, because there's 3 of you. Awesome. Can we raise our hands if you're finished sharing? Can we all raise our hands? Yes. Raise your hands if you can see. Yeah. Perfect. No, just raising your hands so we can, yeah. It's this. In terms of quieting down the room. Yeah. Amazing. So obviously you are all very speedy and know where you're going in the future, and some people want to retire by 40, some people want to do like an amazing startup and everything, but would really love for a couple of you to share back if anyone would like to share their future. Yes, thanks, Carl. Yeah, that would be awesome. Oh, I need your mic. Give you a mic.
Hi guys, good evening. My name is Carl. I'm here on the open evening because I just like the environment here at the Mind Lab, but I'm actually signed up and committed to the MCore. So I don't need convincing. I don't need it sold to me. I'm doing it. And to me, all this exercise is really focusing for me the purpose of why I'm here, which is to start a new journey. And I'm a very practical thinker. I'm a builder. I'm a tradesperson. I like structure. So I've really got to learn to look at things differently. And I think this course will give me the opportunity to consider my role as a manager in a team and really understand the talking, the listening, the engaging, and starting conversations with people we don't know, people that have great ideas. And I think ultimately, the change of the thinking, the work process, and the work ethics is ultimately going to get me to the end goal, which is really about achieving this course. But to me, the achievement isn't really the success for me. The success is the journey, getting to the achievement, and what I can learn from other people is going to help me do my job better. So thank you.
Amazing. Kia ora. Thank you, Carl. Don't want to put anyone else. Yes. That's what. I think you have to stand up here. That was my directions. Yeah.
Awesome. Kia ora, ko Apra Boyle Gotla Toko Ingoa. I'm from Water Care Services. I'm the head of innovation there. I want to talk to you. But I'm here thanks to this awesome crew from Water Care as well, and Zelda, who's introduced us and brought us here, and we're here to support her through her course as she does her assignments and use Water Care as a case study. So excellent vibe here. And I guess for me, my aspiration is to be a writer, a successful writer. Well, any kind of writer, successful or not. But you know, to the point that the panel made this morning, that careers, I'm a chemical engineer. Through the very old school sort of engineering, you climb the ladder, you become a technical director, all of those things. And over the last couple of years, just COVID and opportunities of work have really disrupted that thinking. And so for me, I ended up investing my time doing a course with the New Zealand Creative Writers College. And that really opened up a lot of what was a childhood hobby into potentially a real, real career, maybe. So I'll be taking a sabbatical for a few months next year, focus on writing a book and helping my father write his memoirs. And hopefully I'm just going to do it and publish, because you can self-publish now, and that's the power of technology. So that's me.
Amazing. Awesome. And we probably have time for one more. Oh, yes! Yay! Kia ora.
Kia ora. Tēnā tātou e te whare, ko Kirsten Te Wao Edmonds tōku ingoa, he uri a hau no te aroa no Waikato me Hamua o Kutupuna. Just wanted to share, mine was a little bit 5 to 10 years kind of long-term view. So if I started with future vision, it was to enable community wellbeing through thriving, where's Saskia? Thriving leadership and leading a values-based organisation, perhaps such as Mind Lab one day. Where I'm at now at the moment, I'm actually taking a break. So I spent 13 years in a large technology company, spent a year in the education sector, had the last couple of months off. So my current state is resetting and realigning purpose to action. So grateful for the opportunity to be here and the kōrero this evening. Tēnā tātou.
Tēnā koe. Thank you so much all for sharing, and hopefully you had a chance to share around your table with your partner as well. But yeah, that's just a little bit of a taster. Less tech, more future. But I'm going to hand it over to Anna Marie to take us through the next little bit. Kia ora.
Yeah, do you want me to switch or keep with this one? There we go. Here, do you want to take that one? There you go. We'll do a little bit of a Swap. Kia ora, thank you. We're going to move on to the next session. Tim Gander is going to come up. He's the postgraduate director. He's already been up here like a whole bunch of times, so a familiar face. And he's going to be talking about impact and leadership in this workshop. And there'll be lots of interaction throughout, so please engage.
Kia ora. Yeah, I am. Were we going to have a 5-minute break between this bit for anyone to... No? We're on it. All right. I've just got to change my computer over. I know quite a few of my colleagues thought I was going to come up here and do a performance, and I do feel a little bit like Madonna wearing this thing, but I can guarantee there's not going to be any dancing. Okay? I've just got to run over here and get my computer.
We know you. Christmas parties don't lie.
All right. I'll just plug this in. There. And while this is just generating here, we're trying something called Slido. And if you've got a phone which has got a camera on it, scan that QR code. If you don't, I'll go back, sorry. If you don't, and you're online, just go to slido.com 1511636. And while you're doing that, I'll say, kia ora anō, ko Tim Gander tōku ingoa, no ingarangi ahau kei Turanganui a Kiwa tōku kāinga. My name's Tim Gander, and I'm from England. You might be able to tell a little bit from my accent. I've been in New Zealand now for almost 20 years. I'm from the West Country in England, down in North Devon, and I've been living in Gizzy now for 15, 20 years. Taught at Gizzy Boys High School for 10 years, joined the Mind Lab in 2015, and I've been on that journey ever since. It's been all over the place, and I'm just really happy with where I've landed now, which is part of the MCE team, the Masters of Contemporary Education team, and we work with teachers across Aotearoa, and as Sophia said earlier on, we've worked with sort of over 6,000 teachers on our DCL program. Many of those are going on to study on our MCE program, and we're just really proud of the big impact that we've had in education in New Zealand. And a lot of this learning has moved across to a lot of our other programs, and hopefully you've had a chance to talk to a few people about that this evening. Anyway, thumbs up. How's everyone getting on? Has this come up on your phones? All right, this is going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to this. So today, my brief was to talk about leadership. I sometimes think leadership can be quite exclusive, and a lot of the time people feel like there's a bit of, they feel like imposters. You know, they don't feel necessarily like a leader unless they've got leader, boss, head of the company in their job title, or they don't constantly get told that they're a leader, or it's not in their job description. So today I thought it might be more useful to think about impact, because I feel impact is a bit more inclusive. You feel like everybody can have an impact. I certainly know that people have had an impact on me. And today we're going to take a little bit of a journey and reflect on some of those impacts that might have had a big influence on us, but also understand how we might interact in these moments where impact can happen. This is a picture of an impact. This is a raindrop hitting the meniscus layer of the sea. Let's call this the sea. And this impact may spread out and ripple across oceans and create some sort of change somewhere else. It might not. It might just be in a tiny little rock pool and get to the edge of the rock pool and completely disappear. Either way, this impact is what we're going to be looking into today. How are we going to define impact? Well, an impact is something that has a strong impact or strong effect on someone or something. Can anyone recognize this image? I know someone in the back left of this room definitely can recognize what this probably is. Does anyone have a guess? You might have seen it on the news. Yeah, it's a virus. Yeah, what? COVID-19, yeah, that one. And this is the smallest thing, isn't it? You can't even see it. This is a micro image of something which is so tiny, you can't see it. This is probably the biggest impact in our lives for as long as we can remember. Okay, so even if you're tiny, you can have a huge impact. And that's why I want to try and remember and remind people, this is a negative impact. And this went viral in the wrong way, didn't it? It was the wrong kind of viral. Everyone's looking to go viral? Don't go this viral, all right? Anyone know who that is? You won't know him, because he's me. That's me. And while I'm telling this next little story, I want you to think about a time in your lives where you heard someone say something to you and had an impact on your life. the way you perceived yourself, what happened, what you did next, something along those lines. This guy, this 7-year-old here, had something happen to him which changed his fashion sense forever. You wouldn't think so now. You wouldn't think so now. But I think I was about 7 or 8 and I had this favourite T-shirt and a picture of an otter on the front. And I wore it every day. Obviously, my mum ripped it off me to wash it every now and again and put it back on again. And I wore it one day to a sports practice that I had. And the coach said, we were getting ready for the next drill, and the coach said, "Oh, you, otter boy," and the picture with an otter on the front. And I kind of was a bit sad and a bit ashamed, and well, I don't know what I've done here. I've done something different. Hang on. There we go. There we are. He's back up. Really unnerved that he didn't know who I was, and I didn't have an identity. And he put my identity with a picture on my T-shirt, and it kind of had a massive impact on me that I never ever wanted to wear a T-shirt with a picture of something on ever again. And for the next 10 or 15 years, I had to insist on my mum, I just want to wear a white T-shirt, a plain white T-shirt. I don't want to be noticed as anyone else apart from my name and my identity. And it might seem a really small little thing, but that's something I always remember. And, no one can tell me that I can't, that's the thing that had a huge impact on me. That rugby coach just saying, "Oi, otter boy, come up here and get hold of the tackle bag." And then it just changed the way that I thought about myself for a long time. It can have a bigger impact too. And my wife talks about how she was, this is another sort of sports PE story. I think this is I'm a PE teacher myself. I think this is maybe why I became a PE teacher, to change these things. Her PE teacher said when she walked out in shorts, "Look at those 2 bits of string hanging down from your legs." And from then on, she had a big challenge with body image and the way she looked and the way she felt about herself. So just these small little moments can have a huge impact on the way that we feel about ourselves, the way we carry ourselves, and the way we project ourselves into the future. But it doesn't always have to be negative. Craig I was having a conversation with Craig in the corner you met the other day, and Craig was telling me a story, I think for probably the 3rd time. He's got a really good habit of repeating these stories, but it was a really good one. And Craig was talking about how he was working with a student of his who had dyslexia at the time, and they were doing biochemistry in Craig's field, and they really wanted to go to med school and carry on their journey to be a vascular surgeon. And Craig gave him some advice, and you should persevere, you should do this, I know you've got this, you can carry on and make a difference to people. And then Craig, 15 years later on, got a message on LinkedIn saying, "I'm just about to do my vascular surgery exam. You changed my life. That thing that you said to me, that thing you gave me confidence in," even though Craig had completely forgotten about it, completely changed the course of that person's life. And the impact that that person had was huge on all the people that they worked with. So, kia kaha, Craig. Well done, mate. That's good work. So it can be positive, it can be negative, but hopefully while I was talking there, telling that sad story about me wearing that T-shirt and that wonderful story about Craig, were you thinking about, I'm hoping you were thinking about a moment that had an impact on your life. And I just want a bit of interaction here from hopefully the people online, if you're still there, and also the people in the room. If you look at your phone, if you just refresh your phone now and have a look, there should be a little poll up here, and let's just see if it comes up as negative or positive, or what people were feeling. Whoa, that's huge, isn't it? Look at that. Okay, it's coming through. We've got 9 people on right now. 50-50, the polls are tied. Let's see what happens. 17 people are responding. It's pretty good. Oh yeah, so this one, the instigator, that would be Craig. He was the instigator. So he was the person that had the impact. He was the person that instigated that impact. All right, we're getting quite close. Positive. That's good. I'll give you another minute or 2 to see. It's quite good. It's quite close at the top. Okay. I've only got about 30 people involved, which is good. Still coming in. When I talk to people like this, because I knew I was going to be doing this talk a few weeks ago, and I was just going around talking to everybody. I had my hair cut the other day, and I was talking to the guy that cut my hair about his impact, and I got an Uber here today. I talked about that person about this, talked about what his impact was. Talked to my wife, obviously, that's where I got one of those stories from. Talked to Craig, talked to everyone about this impact. Most people were talking about negative, so I'm happy with you. This is maybe why you're here. You've all got positive mindsets, and you're just successful all the way. Understanding, you know, it's actually quite close. You know, it's 48, 45, and quite a few instigators. Congratulations. But in understanding that, it's really important from a leadership perspective. If we're impacting people half as much in a positive way as a negative way, we have to remember that thing where if something negative happens to you, you go on and tell 10 other people, don't you? If something positive happens to you, you probably just tell one. Okay, and that's part of human nature. Maybe it's something to do with evolution and how there might have been some red poisonous berries on a tree, and you know, if they're poisonous, you go and tell everybody you know. And if there's some nice kai under a rock somewhere, you don't tell anyone because you want to keep it for yourself. But we've got to consider that, the negative and the positive. And having a negative effect as a leader, if you have a negative effect on one person, they're going to tell 10 other people. And your reputation as a leader is obviously going to nosedive. So you've got to understand how to interact in these situations effectively. This picture here, has anyone been to Sheffield in England? You have, yeah. Do you know where this is? This is a picture of the Modern Museum of Music in Sheffield. But the reason why I put this up there, it's taken in a style called tilt-shift photography, which, has anyone heard of that before? Has anyone used that? It's quite a cool style. A lot of the colors pop out, and it's supposed to make it look like a miniature city, a miniature scene, and it does, doesn't it? But that's actually a real image. And the reason why I put this up here is I want to remind people about that macro and micro perspective. Thinking back to my rugby coach, that wasn't a big deal for him. That wasn't a macro thing. He wasn't Jacinda Ardern responding to an emergency under pressure having a big impact. He was just someone trying to get someone to do a rugby drill. But had a massive impact on me and the way I thought about my life. So we've got to remember what those big impacts are and those micro impacts. And quite often, we need to think about a small thing can make a big difference. Okay. What we're actually talking about are critical moments. Okay, and that's what these times are. And in Jade's slide, that moment where the past was behind us and it intersected with the future projection of ourselves, that moment where it crossed over, that could be a critical moment. And for a lot of us, that's where that thinking is going to happen, where we change our mindset and we end up rewiring the way our brain thinks and the way that we think about ourselves into the future. Okay, this is a really good book. One of my colleagues, Anna, is actually doing her research, her PhD, on critical moments and what they look like in the classroom. In the teaching, we call them teachable moments quite often. But this is something which really has had a big impact on the way that I've been reflecting on these and the way that I've been thinking about it. Look it up, it's a great book. So, in understanding how you felt in that moment leading up to that critical moment, we can then unpack how we might interact with those moments. Okay, so if you understand how people are feeling, and so we're going to get a big group here to try and put some emotions up here about how you felt at that critical moment. So just try and put your mind back to that 6-year-old boy on that rugby field, or whoever you were, or whatever happened to you, or whatever that moment was. How were you feeling in there? Okay, proud. So these are just going to come up. They're completely anonymous, so don't worry about it coming up as your name. It's fine. I was thinking about people sharing their critical moments, but then I thought it might turn into a counselling session, and I only had 15 minutes, so it wouldn't have taken that long. A lot of people inspired. So what happens with this is people type words in, and the most common words that come up are the biggest ones. So we've got lots of different words coming up. This is good. Embarrassed, deflated, energized, judged, nervous, inspired. Yeah, so these are all the positive people in the room. They're all positive. Sad, reflective, mind-boggled. And thanks to my colleagues as well for not putting anything silly up here. I was kind of expecting a few things to come up that you can't moderate. Excited. So there's a big theme here. Afraid but excited. Judged, defensive. So you can kind of tell the positive ones, can't you, and the negative ones, and you can see how people were feeling through that whole process. Defensive, you know, humbled's come up twice, but we've spelled it differently, so that doesn't matter. Belittled. I think in my one, I was feeling really anxious. You know that moment in the classroom when the teacher's at the front and they're looking around the room and they think they're going to pick on somebody, and it's like these laser sights going through, and you either look down or pretend you're doing something else. Or I was kind of feeling like that because I kind of felt like the coach was going to pick on me. I was a little bit anxious, to be honest. It looks like everyone's had a look there. So I want you to think about, perhaps the positive ones are great and they've had a really good impact on people in a positive way. Okay. Let's try and pick out the ones which definitely didn't go quite well. So maybe belittled, sad, stressed, maybe defiant, rejected, embarrassed. That's a really big one that's come up to quite a big theme there. Nervous, ashamed. If you're in a role where you're trying to identify a critical moment, how might you interact with those people? What sort of way would you approach this? What would you be doing? What would you be seeing? What would you think? Okay, what sort of things would you hear and how would you feel? So try and think of some ways that you might conduct yourself in that situation if you were hoping to have an impact on that person as the instigator. Okay, so we've changed our role now from being the person that's having the impact happen to us to the person that's trying to instigate an impact. Yeah, brilliant. This is great. Listening, yeah. Engaging, being empathetic. Listening is tāringa whakarongo mai. Be kind. Remove that hierarchy of the situation. Yeah, and that's... Looking at these words that are coming up, and we've still got 4 people typing here. How would these align to your sort of vision of what you should be like as a leader? Are these the sort of characteristics that you would like to have? These are the sorts of attributes, if someone was describing you, they would describe you to be someone who's good at listening, someone that had empathy, someone that's constructive, someone that could understand. Okay, and all these sorts of things that you're talking about here are probably characteristics of good leaders that you've had, characteristics of people that have had a positive impact on you. Okay, so thinking about these characteristics and these things, how often do you exercise that compassion? How often do you empathize with someone? How often do you listen, pay attention, and engage with people? And I think the more often that you do that is the more often that you'll have a positive impact on people. And based on the research that has gone into this is a study done in Finland. They found that critical moments ended up turning out as positive if people approached it in a dialogic way, as in they had a discussion and they had a conversation around it, and it was broken down into how are you feeling, how am I feeling, how are we going to construct some knowledge around how we can move forward in this situation. Quite often, if you're one of the people that are in that negative situation, a lot of it might have been down to that being a one-way conversation or a one-way command or a one-way instruction, someone telling you something without you having a chance to talk back or understand why they said that. So I think if you're trying to identify a critical moment and you're trying to think about how to have an impact in that critical moment, having that dialogue around it is the way to influence more of a positive outcome than a negative outcome. And this is how we found this research to turn out. We're just going to do this quickly. These are some guidelines that I kind of wanted to leave you with, an understanding how you might communicate in a critical moment. On this activity, you just have to put them in order. It's just to get you to think about what might be the best way to do this. And I kind of want to understand, again, we've got a great group of people here. I want to understand which one is probably the most important to you as a group. What would you do first? How you could put these into some sort of hierarchy? So how can you rank these elements of communicating in that critical moment? Showing empathy, hitting the charts at number 1, coming in hot. Being real, staying visible. We all know those leaders or those people that hide away in their offices and don't talk to you, and they're the ones that shy away from a lot of this. They're not the ones that are causing impact. They're perhaps causing more of a negative impact. Showing empathy, the people that talk to you and show that they care and listen, are the ones that are going to have more of an opportunity in that critical moment to make a positive impact and a big difference. All right, that's pretty clear, isn't it? Showing empathy, being real, and providing purpose are probably the most important things to communicate with people in that critical moment so that you can ensure that people feel positive and come out on top. I'm going to leave you with this point around some prompts. And when we talked about our programs earlier on, the structure of what we do is a lot like this, okay? We ask people, what's the impact you want to make? We ask you, what do you want to change? Saskia talked about identifying that challenge or that problem. What do you want to do about it? How are you going to change it? Is this impact meaningful to your communities? Is it something that your collaborators, your stakeholders, the people that you're working alongside, the people that you're working for, find important? Today we've talked about this in more detail. How are you going to interact with people at that critical moment? How are you going to communicate your vision, your idea, your purpose of where you want to go? And the last thing is probably one of the more important things that we try and capture and measure here is that how do you know that you've had an impact? What sort of metrics and factors are you going to capture to understand that you've actually made something improve, you've made something different? And I put this picture, this was just taken in front of my house, and this is Wainui Beach in Te Tairawhiti, and you can see there's a huge storm brewing. That was a huge storm that hit the East Cape, huge amount of rain. And much like that raindrop, the raindrop's often the first part of a storm, isn't it? Just the falling rain. And it can turn into this huge mass traveling across the ocean, but it can also turn into a rainbow. And how you interact with that impact can be whether it's all rainbows and butterflies and pots of gold, or just storms that can just end up devastating whole regions. So hopefully today we've had a chance to reflect on that, think about how we might interact in that critical moment. And the last thing really is what Fee started off talking about was what we do here at the Mind Lab is lead and create impactful futures. And we're not expecting you to change the entire world. You might. Well done if you do. That's brilliant. But if you just make an impact on one person, that's good enough for us. And we're really hoping that through changing somebody's life, you might create a better future for everybody else. And that's the end. 0 seconds. Kia ora.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay. Kia ora. Oh, Tim, that was so poetic. Not only poetic, it was... what I loved about that and in the impact that we make on others, it's not always at work, is it? It's in our everyday life, and just reflecting on how we deal with situations is just a beautiful way to almost finish the day, because we're not finished here yet. So what I want to offer to you now is if you need a quick break to grab a beverage or use the facilities or something like that, we're going to do that. We'll have about 5 minutes, so if you can hang tight, and then we're going to get some of our current and past students to join us for a quick panel to talk about their journey and possibly offer some advice as well. So we've got about 5 minutes, so if you'd like to step out for a moment, please feel free, but we'll be wrangling you back in. And I know it's like corralling cats, but we'll be out there getting you back in. So yeah, enjoy.
Think postgrad study is boring and irrelevant? Kia ora, welcome to the Mind Lab and Tech Futures Lab. Here we place our learners at the centre of everything we do. But what does that really mean? Well, for us, it means we do all we can to remove the barriers to lifelong learning. And we've put together this series of short videos to show you how. Watch on to find out how our programs are designed for busy people like you. Here, we're talking about how your learning is assessed.
People come to learn for different reasons and like to learn in different ways. If you've got memories of a one-size-fits-all education that's theory-based and delivered in lecture halls, you need to let it go. That's not what it's like to learn with us. Our programs are designed with flexibility, personalisation and innovation in mind. We teach context, not content. So all our learning is structured in a way that allows you to anchor it in what you do in your practice. And while we're here to give you guidance and some parameters, you get to choose the focus for your assignments, whether that's in your current role or your industry, where you want to head next, or even your passion project. So your learning is 100% tailored to what you want to achieve. And you can deliver your assignments in a format that fits you. We encourage oral, written and even performance-based submissions in English or te reo Māori. You'll learn alongside people who bring a range of experiences and perspectives, adding flavour and depth to your knowledge. Group assessments give you the opportunity to engage and learn and share together. And people you'll connect and collaborate with come from all sorts of different industries. Everyone is here to share ideas and perspectives that build a bigger picture of what our futures could be. In the real world, we collaborate to achieve something, so why should learning be any different? We want to create impactful futures by equipping you with the skills, the knowledge and the confidence that you can use right away in whatever it is that you do. Don't let old perceptions of learning stop you from refreshing your knowledge. Try learning the MindLab way.
Get in touch today to find out how we can help you create the impactful future you're after.
It's time to take a bite-sized approach to learning and start using new skills today while building your future for tomorrow. Intrigued? Here's how it could work. You take 4 bite-sized, compact micro-credentials from across the MindLab and Tech Futures Lab. You stack them together. Now you've got 60 transferable credits. Then you take on a postgraduate certificate with us. You get 60 more transferable credits. All up, you've got 120 credits you can use as a foundation to build your Masters. A Masters proposal and capstone project is worth the final 60 credits you need to reach 180 credits. And with that, you're now a master of your future, and you have a master's degree. Bite-sized learning can add up to big-sized impact. It's the future of learning. Everyone's journey is different, so talk with us and we'll help map yours out.
Very gratified with the course and what it's helped me do. I've started a new job at Greenpeace and bring my previous discipline, which is advertising, into the fold and try and merge those two and really, create some change, which is why I did it in the first place.
Currently I'm a learning solutions designer, but I am starting soon as an organisational capability advisor, so that human potential side of things is what really fascinated me. So it pushed me and challenged me to look outside of my current career.
So I'm a Mataora who works in the community. I work with people with distress. If I hadn't done MindLab, I wouldn't have had the confidence to find the authentic me in any jobs.
It just opened my eyes up to the possibility that we have as teachers and the ways that we've always done things. I've been teaching for 20 years and it's really just changed the way that I think about, I guess, the power of influence that I have within my classroom.
Think you need to have a degree to enrol on one of our postgraduate programs?
Kia ora, welcome to the MindLab and Tech Futures Lab. Here we place our learners at the centre of everything we do. But what does that really mean? Well, for us, it means we do all we can to remove the barriers to lifelong learning. And we've put together this series of short videos to show you how. Right now, we're introducing to you the concept of equivalence, because life experience can count for a lot.
We place the same value on the professional and community experience you bring as we do on higher qualifications. In fact, learning with us means you don't have to hold a higher qualification at all. Graduating from the School of Life, informal learning, is often as important and foundational as undergraduate study, formal learning. We're big believers that learning sparks ideas, growth and confidence in people. And that can have wide-reaching impacts for both them and their communities. That's what we're here to help with. So all of our postgraduate programs have an equivalence pathway. This means the work, the community experience you've already had can count towards the entry requirements for a program. Entry requirements do vary for each program, but in all cases, you need to show evidence of your experience. Now that could include your CV, any professional certifications you've completed, a video to talk us through your experience, your work, your community roles. Maybe you've got some outputs you can share with us. Have you won an award at work? Was your community work mentioned in the local paper? Does your LinkedIn profile have a presentation you gave to an audience somewhere? Or you could provide references from colleagues. If you're asked to have an interview as part of the entry process, we'll also have the opportunity to talk through your experience then. Paul is a real-life example of a learner who didn't have a traditional academic history before he started with us. He chose to learn on the job as a chef, completing culinary qualifications, but never a university degree.
Am I mic'd up? All good.
When he found the Mind
all
Lab
good,
and
all
wanted
good.
to take on postgraduate study, he was
right.
able to enroll through our equivalence
It's all
pathway.
good if some people are straggling their way back in. We're happy with that. So kia ora, welcome again. This is the last kind of section of our session this evening, but after this you'll have the opportunity to have a chat with any of the people who are running programs or staff here. We're happy to field any questions that you have or have a little bit of a korero about your journey and what you're trying to do with your life. And so we thought a great way to finish up is to share the stories of a couple of our alumni students that we have here, Barry and Sarah. And what I'd like to do first is just for a bit of context, is to just get you to introduce yourself and, you know, and then we'll move into what some of the myths are and things like that. So Barry, did you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I'm Barry Williams. I'm obviously not from around here. And I did the Connected Environments course, which finished a few months ago.
Kia ora tātou. I'm Sarah Cook, and I did the Masters of Contemporary Education, and I finished in November last year.
Yeah, awesome. And I know that there's some people that I've chatted with tonight actually that are really interested in these things, these courses that you are representing, I guess, this evening. So I thought we might start out with one of the challenges or one of the things that always comes up with studying are these myths or obstacles that may be preventing you from going, yep, I'm going to give it a go. So maybe, Sarah, since you've got the mic, you might start us off with what myth was busted for you about continuing your education or starting your education here at the Mind Lab?
Well, to start with, I had the fantastic opportunity of doing the postgraduate certificate, the DCL, and then I had a bit of a break for 3 or 4 years, and I was trying to convince myself that I was good enough, that I was had enough time, that I had the money to pay for the course. All those things were crossing my mind, and then I just thought, if I don't go now, I'm not going to do it. And so I pressed the button on go, and I just had to, I guess, learn to be very clever at managing my time, because I have a family, I work full time. But the incredible thing for me was that I could do my project and my learning in my job. It was practice-based, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is a common challenges are time, money. Yeah, I'd love to hear about what you've got an interesting story actually about completing your degree as well. So, you know, you could tie that in as well.
Yeah, sure. So again, similar idea. I work full time, and it was, you know, people always say, oh, what if you haven't got the time? How will it fit in with work? Will people support you on it? And, you know, my answer to that would be, as a myth, is you don't know unless you ask. My company were very supportive, and even sort of at Christmas time, it was the interesting kind of disaster. We had to shoot back to the UK due to a family emergency, and shortly afterwards, Jacinda closed the borders, so we were stuck there. Luckily, I had my work's laptop, so I was doing 6 in the afternoon to 2 o'clock in the morning to do works time, and then trying to keep up with study time as well. And the team here were absolutely brilliant in supporting me through that for 3 months, and hopefully it didn't affect my score too much.
I do love that community aspect that you're speaking about there. A lot of people feel that they need or want a lot of support when they study. I know that that's a definite me when I'm studying. I want to make sure that there's people there to kind of hold my hand a little bit so that I feel secure enough to enter into this new world. And that's lovely that you had that experience. I know I have as well. So did you want to comment further?
Oh, I just wanted to jump in on that. We were organised in collaborative groups, and the incredible thing was that the group was very diverse. We had people from all walks doing the Masters of Contemporary Education, and I felt 100% supported. And the cool thing was that because we were from so many different aspects of education, that there was always a really interesting perspective coming. You know, someone would critique you or someone would offer some ideas. And basically the whole team would get you across the line for your project. It was a huge part of it. And when you were kind of really bogged down with work, someone would spark you up and support you. And yeah, we had it was really well organised in the sense that the people managing the course were helping us to collaborate and providing opportunities to collaborate. So that worked really well for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting about collaboration. I think that in more of the traditional study, we always are studying alone, you know, and going to our books and doing our own projects, but that's not really the way that the working world works, right? Mostly we work in teams, we work within organizations, or we're working with other organizations to make our project come to life. And so it's a really good applicable skill to have when we bring that into the classroom. So yeah, it's a really good point. And that critiques is really nice as well, getting that input from different areas. So I kind of want to move on from there and talk a little bit about, you've both finished up, right? So how has that really impacted what you do now? And I'm not talking about necessarily your professional life. It could even be in your personal life, how that's really, your study has impacted how you're living now and your view, your experience with the world.
Cool. Yeah, so going through it, again, same thing. It was a very diverse group, and you would think technical connected environments would narrow down to a bunch of nerds. But no, people from all walks of life, and people with some great ideas, and just there trying to get that sort of level of experience. And listening to different worldviews and different attitudes really opens your eyes to something that you would think is quite a narrow, like I say, a bit nerdy subject. It's super interesting to me because I'm a big nerd. But, but you know, you get that wider perspective then. Yeah.
Before I started this course, I would never have considered myself an academic, but now I've been through master's level learning and master's level writing, and I feel like I am an academic now, and that's a big thing for me because, yeah, it was a big journey for me. I've also been able to publish a research article which has brought me great joy. So just recently. So very proud of that, and also I wanted the opportunity to be able to share what I had, my learning journey, but also give people ideas, people that were studying something similar to me, be able to, you know, look me up and see what project I did and whether that could benefit them in their lives. And the other major thing for me, I think, as a person, is that I feel that I can handle things that emerge from change that happens in my organisation, but also in my life as well. Just dealing with, you know, projects where you don't know exactly what's going to be the end product. You have to roll with what people bring to it, and you have to roll with how you have to let go of actually closely, you know, being in control. I think it's a very transversal skill to have, to be able to communicate, able to be flexible, able to move with change, because our world is changing dramatically, you know, as we speak.
Absolutely. It's like change is the only thing that's constant. So the ability to be able to be malleable with change is really important. And education obviously creates that plasticity in the mind. It helps our mind to be able to take in new information and move with that and communicate in different ways with different people is just an amazing thing, a skill to cultivate and continue throughout life. Yeah, and it's congratulations on getting that published. That's amazing. Yeah. And I thought we might finish up, because I know that you guys are going to want to have your own chats, and I don't want to take too much time here. But just maybe with a piece of advice, if somebody was thinking about studying, what advice would you have for them, you know, based on your own experience?
Just easy, really. Go for it. It can only add to your life experience, and no bad thing can come out of it, I don't think. Even if you get halfway through it and think it's not for you, you've give it a shot and move on to the next thing.
Just to be brave, like you don't know how capable you are until you really stretch yourself. And also my one tip for study, particularly with the contemporary education, is keep up with the timelines. That really helped me, and I liked that, having a frame to know that this is what I'm aiming for, and that kept me on the ball with projects and reports. Yeah.
Yeah, no, those are great. Oh yeah. You can just keep holding on to that, Barry. Yeah, no, great pieces of advice there. And I think, you know, if you have any kind of things that are preventing you from thinking about studying, or you're just not sure what direction you want to go to, this is a great opportunity now to have a chat with the team and just put your vision out there. And if you don't have a vision, but you might think, oh, I've got some ideas in my head on things that I might be interested in, that you might want to dip your toes into, we probably have something. I know that I myself studied disruptive technologies this year, and I'm an artist, and I'm really loving the application of AR and XR in like the art space. And so that was just a really interesting exploration for myself. And you might have something like that you're interested in having a look at. So I'd encourage you to just keep your mind open and yeah, start a conversation. We're here to listen. So I just want to thank you all for coming. There's totally bunches of refreshments out there. And I think, Fee, are you coming up here to Karakia, and we'll close it all out? How lovely. Here, I'll take that. Thank you very much, Barry and Sarah, for sharing your journey and your story. We really appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah.
Kia ora, Barry and Sarah, and Anna Mari.
I'll step off.
And
You guys want to step off as well?
amazing. Incredible, thank you. And just finally, I would like to just extend a huge thank you to everybody who has come this evening. I know you're busy people, and I appreciate that lives are busy as well, and that you've given up your time to come and join us here this evening. And also to those of you online, kia ora, thank you for joining us. I hope tonight has just given you a little bit of insight or a moment or something that you can take away that makes you feel good about the next step in your life, whether that's what Jade took you through about planning what those next few years or next 6 months might look like, or talking to one of our team about how you can kind of become more curious and be better in your personal and your professional life. And I'll just close us off with a karakia, but of course, by all means, come and join us afterwards. Ka whakia iria te tapu, kia wātia ai te ara, kia turaki whakata ai, kia turaki whakata ai, homie, huie, tai kia. Kia ora everyone.